Ability is not enough. Dedication is not enough. Even victory is not enough. To become one of our number, you must embody all of these, and yet be more still. What that more is, I cannot tell you. Find the answer in your bones, in your heart and soul, and you will be a warrior.
So, now that we are done with the Xenos factions, we can finally move on to the Imperial and Chaos factions proper. Yeah, I know we covered Custodes and Thousand Sons earlier, but I made exceptions for those due to outlying circumstances, mainly my birthday and bribery. However, in this instance, I wasn't exactly honest that we were done with the Xenos factions, but I want to cover these guys before we get to the last one, as it will give context. I am, of course, talking about the Inquisition's alien hunters, the Deathwatch. The Deathwatch has been in Warhammer since 2003. Introduced in the Armageddon campaign book and chapter approved 2003, the Deathwatch are a group of Marines that were something you can add into any Imperial army as a more elite hero unit, being given better weapons and special ammunition. The Deathwatch Kill Team, as it was called, was basically a souped-up Marine squad that was led by a captain or librarian. Then later on, they were changed to just being the Stern Guard squad with an upgrade kit in later editions, with an RPG from Fantasy Flight Games fleshing them out more in 2010. Then in 2015-16, the Deathwatch's story would change slightly, with the release of the War of the Beast series being a new origin story for the faction, and getting their first codex and making them a playable faction of Marines. That was a fresh spin. Kill teams were able to have different unit types in the same squad and get buffs based on what was in it, with brand new models and upgraded mini-packs that, unfortunately, only had a year before 8th edition brought in the brand new Primaris Marines. Then we got new Deathwatch Marines in 2026! Let's go! But now that begs the question, who and what are the Deathwatch? Why did they grow so popular? And why are there so many different colors among the black and silver? Well, let's get into one of my favorite Marine factions and get the need to know on them. The Deathwatch's origins are kinda confusing, with them originally being made in response to the First Tyrannic War. However, with the War of the Beast series, their origin was changed, sending us back to M32-544. The War of the Beast, as it would be called, was 1,000 years after the Horus Heresy, where the Orcs rose up in a massive war, as the Imperium wasn't really paying attention to them, as they were still trying to rebuild from Horus's rebellion. It went a little something like this. What do you mean the Imperial fists are dead? Is that a Death Star with an orc face on it?
Hello, I represent the Great Beast. We politely demand your surrender.
The fuck you mean they have power armor now? It took a lot, but we finally got Vulcan, Primarch of the Salamanders. You're screwed now, and you just pushed both of them into a reactor. Great. Wait, there's more of them? Well, it took the sacrifice of the Sisters of Silence, the Imperial Fists, most of Fleet Solar, and now a Soul Guy rules all of the Imperium. But we won, I guess, right? The Orcs had over 1,000 years to recover from the Great Crusade, and over that time, the Orcs grew to be such a threat that they had built mobile moon-sized ships, with the Orcs also having crude versions of power armor for regular Orc boys. This event nearly destroyed the Imperium, and although the Orcs were eventually defeated, it left a horrible question hanging in the air. What if this happens again? The Imperium's Inquisition had an idea, though. Along with the Space Marines and sole remaining High Lord of Terra, they would found a new Ordo for the Inquisition called the Ordo Xenos, and by extension, form a special militant order for them called the Deathwatch, a group made up of volunteered Marines from different chapters to create an elite task force dedicated to fighting alien threats. And for over 10,000 years, the Deathwatch has continued to serve the Imperium. Space Marine chapters still regularly send individuals to serve among them, with the Marines sent being those who have the required skills and talents for the missions the Deathwatch kill teams are assigned to, or in some cases, a way for chapters to get rid or humble more problematic members. Those are exceptions, though, not the rule, and it's usually seen as a huge honor to be selected to join the ranks of the Deathwatch. But let's talk about the organization as a whole and how it functions. As stated before, the Deathwatch are the chamber militant of the Inquisition's Ordo Xenos, meaning that an Inquisitor of the Ordo Xenos can call upon the Deathwatch to deal with a threat that Inquisitor deems to be a priority, though how the operation is carried out is left up to the Deathwatch and the kill team it sends in. Now, the Deathwatch is seen as a chapter of Space Marines, but it doesn't act like one or even organize itself to be such. The Deathwatch doesn't have a single planet they call home. They operate in hundreds of watch fortresses or stations throughout the galaxy. These locations are where individual Marines are brought to be trained and armed for the missions they will be going on. Now, how do the Deathwatch get members? Well, when they were founded, most Marine chapters made oaths that they would volunteer Marines to go serve in the Deathwatch. Of course, the quality of these Marines varies from chapter to chapter, as some chapters don't have the best relationship with the Inquisition. However, these Marines are usually scouted first by Deathwatch members, who then have to go through that chapter's command structure and get permission to recruit the individual. If the chapter says yes, then that Marine will be sent off to the watch fortress or station that needs them. If no, well, the recruiter usually came with a list of candidates, so they just work through who they can send. Once the Marine reaches the Deathwatch, his armor is painted black save for the right pauldron, while the left shoulder pad is replaced with the Deathwatch pauldron and a silver vembrace. This is to mark the Marine as a member of the Deathwatch, and has the authority of the Inquisition to back them up. However, they don't cover the right shoulder in black, as it's to honor the chapter the Marine came from, as well as to help squad mates identify them. After the Marine's armor is changed, he is then handed over to the Watchmaster or Captain, who then organizes the Marines sent to them into kill teams. These kill teams are made up of Marines from varying chapters. Although it's not uncommon for a kill team to have multiple members from the same chapter inside it, the idea here is that the squad will be flexible and have different points of experience to call upon for different scenarios. An example being that the kill team would defer to the Marine whose chapter has expertise in the field they are operating in. So in a defensive strategy, the team might defer leadership to their Imperial Fist member, or in a stealth mission, they might defer to their Raven Guard member. This idea, however, isn't without its snags, though. Marines from different chapters can either be the best of friends, or absolutely hate each other. For example, the Dark Angels and Space Wolves have a notorious rivalry that usually leads to bloodshed. Most of the time, a Watchmaster or Captain will just make sure those two chapters don't have to interact. However, if the mission requires both of them, then drastic measures are needed to make sure those two Marines are pointed at the enemy and not at each other, which is where the training comes in. Training a Deathwatch kill team is some of the most brutal and harsh training a Marine will ever have to go through. The reason being is that Deathwatch kill teams are being sent into near-suicidal missions for Marines, so the training reflects this, not just as a way to prepare the team for the worst outcomes, but that they are a team. It doesn't matter where you come from. This is going to be the squad you have to rely on in the field. By the time the training is done, the Marines are either the best of friends, or at least can put aside their differences for the time being. Once the team is ready, they are then deployed to the planet or system they will be operating within. These missions can either take hours or years to complete, as they are being sent in to deal with growing Xenos threats, such as orcs rallying for a Wa, Eldar pirates raiding systems, Tyranid bioforms that need to be eliminated or captured for study, destroying Tau facilities or eliminating enemy commanders, and so on. Either way, these missions are hellish, and it's not expected the team will make it out in one piece. If a kill team succeeds or survives their tour of duty, they are allowed to return to their parent chapter, keeping the Deathwatch pauldron as a keepsake and mark of honor. However, the Marine is sworn to secrecy over what they had to do. only able to break the oath if their chapter master or company captain demands it during a time of great need. Or if the brother chooses, they can stay on as a member of the Deathwatch to train new kill teams, or become officers like a captain or watchmaster. Now, watchmasters are those Marines who usually will never return to their parent chapter, shouldering the burden of leading a watch fortress alone and overseeing the company-sized force until their death. Under them are the watch captains. Usually there are 5 watch captains per fortress who oversee up to 4 or more kill teams in their designated sector. These officers are usually veterans who have returned to the Deathwatch multiple times and can be trusted to oversee operations. Now, don't think a watch captain becomes a captain when he returns to his chapter. He is only a captain within the Deathwatch, though it does make for a good argument to promote that Marine to a captain if a position pops up. Now, let's talk about the different formations the Deathwatch deploys, along with their armory. The Deathwatch are given some of the most advanced weaponry and technology the Imperium has at its disposal, ranging from newer marks of power armor to even the ammo the Marines will be firing at the enemy. The reason being is that the missions require these Marines to be well armed and armored to ensure the best chance at success. This means that you'll see Deathwatch Marines firing special bolter rounds that melt through armor, wielding heavy bolters with underslung flamethrowers, and whole kill teams armed with heavy thunderhammers, or if some are to be believed, wielding Xenos technology like Necron phase blades. But those are just rumors! Those are just rumors. You will also see kill teams that have different roles and armor types. One Marine in the squad could have a jump pack, another could be riding a bike, while another could be wearing Gravis or Terminator armor. The idea, again, is to maximize mission success. Having a bike to scout ahead of the main squad or run away with a mission-critical objective might be that key to success. Or if the mission requires the kill team to be in close quarters, a Gravis Marine or Terminator with flamethrowers would be the best for that situation. Now, when kill teams are organized, they will be organized around mission parameters. Most of the time, a kill team will be deployed in the Aquila Tactics, a formation that is designed to be flexible to any mission situation, while another squad might be deployed with Führer Tactics, which makes them focus on wiping out swarms of aliens rather than picking off individuals. Or a kill team might deploy with the Malleus Tactics, where they only bring short to close range weaponry due to the operation's location. The Deathwatch also makes use of standard Space Marine vehicles, notably Land Raiders, Rhinos, Razorbacks, and other tanks, but their most notable and unique vehicle is the Corvus Blackstar, a gunship designed for stealth insertion and fire support. It is able to carry a full kill team into battle along with whatever they need to bring, and is armed to the teeth to clear out landing zones, support the kill team in taking out larger targets, or just be in the air to give tactical advice. Now, let's talk about the Deathwatch in modern 40k before we wrap up. The Deathwatch in modern 40k have kind of been getting their shit kicked in since the formation of the Great Rift, being forced to deal with more and more desperate situations that require companies to be spread thin throughout the galaxy. The Primaris Marines reinforcing them have been a great help, but it's comparable to a band-aid on a gaping wound. The situation has gotten so bad for some watch fortresses that many watch masters have refused to return Marines to their parent chapters, which has damaged the Deathwatch's reputation as a position of honor. Still, the Deathwatch continues to be deployed into war zones like the Fourth Tyrannic War, the Pariah Nexus, and even hints that there are still a few kill teams operating on Armageddon. Though with how things are going, and with the growing threat of the Imperium's enemies both within and without, the Deathwatch may be pressed on all sides, but they will continue their long watch and serve the Imperium until death. The Deathwatch as a faction are weird. They are still a playable army in 10th edition and will still be playable in 11th edition, but they are also a part of the Imperial Agents as a force you can add into another Imperial army. The idea for their army is that their kill teams are highly specialized, running more elite and flexible Marine units than a standard Space Marine army can field, though as of 10th edition, you can field regular Marine units aside from some exceptions, leading to a sort of confused playstyle. The general idea is that you build your kill teams to take out specific units on the field, while the rest of your army runs around and completes objectives. It's not much, and you can tell the Deathwatch as an army is just screaming to be a support unit you take in other armies, which was sort of the problem with them when they were first introduced. Hell, most people don't even use their special kill team detachment. They use the regular detachments and run Deathwatch as a more elite vanilla Marine army. The Deathwatch as a faction in 40k are interesting, being a force of Marines who are organized to maximize mission success, which means they're given some of the coolest gear and weapons, while also having the unique characters of forcing Marines from other chapters to interact and bounce off one another. It's always a treat to see how Marines from wildly different chapters interact with one another, as we don't get much of that with following Space Marines in their main chapters. It gives Space Marines some desperately needed characterization, which is why I and many others like them. Though I think personally, they should go back to being a support unit for armies, fleshed out like they are, but not a separate army. Now, when we come back to Need to Know, I will talk about the Gene Stealer cults, as they were the army that Deathwatch was released alongside. I wanted to give context to the cults and show the kind of force usually deployed against them before I went into them properly. So if you want to see it early, subscribe to the Patreon. It's only $5 a month, and you get to see an exclusive series from me. I also stream in the evenings on weekdays here on YouTube and Twitch. So if you can, please like, comment, subscribe, and share this video around. Until then, I'll see you all next time.